When Edidiong Obot found herself in $30,000 of debt, she was referred to MMI by her cousin and her pastor. When she finally reached out, Edidiong was amazed at how stress-free the process was. Now she has paid off $30,000 in just 3 years and increased her credit score by 60 points. Edidiong, welcome to the show.
Hi.
So good to have you here. How are you doing today?
I'm good. It's feeling good. I'm having a good day.
You're having a good day. I love it. Okay. Well, listen, let's start off with your debt story, which is not a bad story because you're out of it. So we're feeling good. But let's start with your debt story. Tell us more. Actually, first, let me back up. Tell us more about you. Where are you? What do you do?
Right. So, yes, currently I reside in Washington, D.C. And I recently moved here. I'm in a fellowship program now with the National Urban Fellows. And with that program, I'm able to pursue another graduate degree, full ride. So again, shout out to National Urban Fellows for that. And be like coming out of debt last year really gave me the confidence that I needed to take this like leap in this journey and move. Because now I now have the savings to do that. So I moved from Houston actually to DC. So I'm from Houston. I am also Nigerian as well. So my parents are Nigerian. My entire family is Nigerian. And so I am a proud American-born Nigerian, a child of immigrants. And so, yeah. Here.
Wow. That's a great story. Now, did you say another graduate degree? Is that what you said?
I did.
So how many graduate degrees do you currently have? Because I did not know this.
I have one. I have a master's in environmental toxicology from Texas Southern University. And I also have I have a bachelor's in chemistry from Texas Southern University as well. So I'm a 2-time HBCU grad. I always got to put that out there.
Okay.
Now I'm pursuing a master's in policy management at Georgetown University. So,
I mean, that's a pretty amazing resume right there. Wow. I love it. Also, our listeners can't tell, but the giant smiley face on your sweater is like next level. Like it's so good. So this is going to be such a great conversation. I can already tell. This is so great. So, all right. So tell us a little bit about your debt story. How did you get into debt? And then, what happened that made you realize you needed some help?
Yeah. So I got into debt and I think this is a cliche, but in college, actually. So I was in need of a new laptop and I was like, oh, okay, I can get a laptop and charge it to an Apple card that I applied for. Cool. And then I just started charging other things. And then I got my brother a laptop. And then I had a job and I was like, okay, I could just pay it down. I'll pay the minimum. And then over time, you just kind of abuse the card. And I also was traveling. So I was like, oh, I'm going to apply for a Southwest Airlines card. And I did that. And it was like, oh, and then you have that mindset of like, I'm going to pay the balance off. And then you look up and you're not able to pay the balance. And for me, I was irresponsible financially. So I just ignored the balance.
Yeah.
I do not recommend that. And so you just find yourself like applying for more cards with this notion of like, oh, I make enough. I have enough discretionary funds to pay it. And then you are not actually dedicating that money towards the credit card payment. You're buying other things. And so you find that you're living outside of your means in a sense. And so that's kind of like what happened with me. I was, what started off is like, oh, I can pay this off. Now it was like I was buying other things that was probably not needed at the time. And I just didn't have that financial maturity, I believe, to like really be disciplined enough with my money to allocate it toward those things. So I had to learn the hard way.
It really sneaks up on you if you're not careful, and your story is not unique in that way. So what was what point did you get to where you recognized that you needed help, and then what did you do then?
Yeah, so I realized like as I was getting older, like I wanted to pursue certain things, and I was telling my pastor about it and my cousin about it. And my pastor actually was the one that recommended the organization to me. He was like, this organization I think had helped them, or his wife had found out about it, and so I was like, okay. So I looked into it. I didn't initially do it. I was still kind of skeptical because I was like, I mean, I don't know what kind of organization just does this kind of thing for a
Right.
minimal amount. So
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
usually you're like, oh, I can help you with your credit card, and then it's like this huge lump sum that you have to pay somebody to take things off your credit and do all these different things. So I just could not understand that. Then
Right.
my cousin was telling me like, no, I looked into it. I think I'm gonna, get into it. So since I kind of had a nudge from her, I went ahead and I looked into it, and yeah, I ended up signing up for it. So I knew that there were just some specific financial goals I wanted to attain personally and also within my family. And I really give kudos to my pastor, Prophet Kenneth Okoji with Christ Ignite International Ministries Lighthouse. He was the one that really was like, I'm going to send you the information. Also get with the first lady, who's Prophetess Fran. And from there, I got the contact and made an appointment.
Oh, that's fantastic. All right. So since working with MMI, like I mentioned in the intro, you've paid off $30,000 in debt. You've increased your credit score by about 60 points. You did all that in 3 years, which is amazing. How did like a personalized debt management plan, how did that help you think about your money? How did it help you balance your budget and see a path forward?
Yes. So I just have to give a huge shout out to MMI because I I think part of the reason why I was struggling with getting help was because I was beating myself up for not being financially mature, especially at the age that I was, and I felt like I should have had a better handle on, like my money and how I use it. And so MMI came in, no judgment at all, very like, okay, hey, very empathetic with
Hmm.
me. They understood like, well, what was going on? Tell us about your story. And the counselors that I worked with, they were just, I mean, just very nice. Like I felt like there was no judgment, so it made it a safe space for me to talk about, my, defaults and my areas where I needed help. And they gave me the different options, and so I enrolled into the debt management plan. And it was a very vulnerable moment
Hmm.
because when we talk about finances, that's like another part of you that you have to basically kind of be naked with someone else with. And usually, like, you're either that with your spouse or with your financial advisor or the person who does your taxes. So to be with someone else that is like, I have to not expose like myself to you, I felt comfortable because they created that safe space for me
Hmm.
to do that. And so they asked me a couple of questions here and there, and then what I really thought was like really good was they asked me, well, how much do you feel you can contribute monthly to
Hmm.
the debt management plan? Right? This wasn't like, well, in order for you to meet this debt threshold by a certain time frame, you have to contribute X amount, right? Because then for me, that would have caused me anxiety. Like, I can't do it. Can I do it? Is this? But they allowed me to be able to say, to kind of let them know how much can you contribute monthly. And I told them that. And then within those years, um, actually, my income increased. And so just kind of getting new jobs, obviously, that's part of life. But it was definitely something I was like, okay, now I can be a lot more aggressive with getting the debt down. And
Yeah.
so, like, I felt like over time, I was able to learn more of the financial tools and be more responsible. Like, I was able to pass the tests now with being more financially responsible once I got more income. So, yeah.
I love that. I love it. So you got the tools, you got the lump sum payment that you're paying that's paying off your debt, month over month, and you're going through that for 3 years. So like walk me through like what was that 3 years like? Because I want you, I'm asking because I want you to paint a picture, because I feel like a lot of people that are in debt think, oh, I have to give up all fun and all good food and all of everything forever to pay this off. Like, is that what it was like for you, or were you able to still like have some things, or what?
So I'm gonna be honest. I'm not sure if it took 3 years. I think it probably took a little bit longer
Okay.
than the 3 years, because I remember kind of starting off really small, very minimal. With what I can do, I was still kind of trying to break those habits and shift my mind about how I look at my relationship with money. But once I started getting into the swing of it, I still traveled. Like I went on trips. I went to during the pandemic. I was still paying, right? And I know the pandemic was very hard as well, but I was paying that, and I was paying student loans and all these different things. But I was still able to travel. I was still able to buy gifts. Still be able to have fun. I just had to look at money differently. Like I had to know that this payment was coming out automatically.
Mm.
And I think because I didn't have control over like to stop this payment or not pay it, I had to make sure that my bank account had the sufficient funds to cover it regardless. And if I was going on a trip, I had to make sure that, you know, first thing is making sure that the things that need to be paid for are going to get paid regardless. And now I had to just rebudget what that looked like. So I also will tell you that I did go to court over debt as well. So sometimes you go through that, but MMI really helped me. Like they walked me through the process, really held my hand. Also, you'll find that like in this process, like your debt gets sold to other companies. So I also experienced that where me and MMI were working together, and next thing you know, I like my debt was sold to someone else, and I'm like, okay, I don't. Who am I supposed to? Who does this money go to? Because MMI is the basically the person that or the organization that is paying the debt for you on your behalf, like as you send the money to them. And so it was just, I would just say, just throughout the process, like MMI was just very stress free. I didn't have any issues with them, and they were there to like help negotiate with me, especially during the beginning part of the debt management plan. They would, get on the phone with my credit card debtors, and then we would talk about, they basically advocated for me.
Mm.
They told them, hey, this is what my client can pay. She can't pay more than that. Can we come to a consensus, this or that? And I felt so good that I had like an advocate in my corner to really advocate for me. Like I didn't have to do it. I didn't have to go through the whole emotional like stress and turmoil of having to now explain again the story. I just had someone who knew my story, who was there in my corner and wanted to see me succeed and to win. And so I love the fact that like MMI was just very stress free for me. Like I didn't have to think about it twice, and I had somebody who was advocating for me. So I felt good about it.
I love that. I mean, and I love that you were able to be stress free going through a process that a lot of people find very difficult, right? And that's, I think that's the whole point of the debt management plan. So, last question for you: what does freedom from debt look like for you?
Whew, it means you can breathe. That's what it means. You have breath. Like, you can sigh of relief. It means that you can now tackle like some of your other dreams that you want to do, whether it's like going back to school, like me, moving across the country, like I did. Maybe it's traveling. Maybe it's getting married. Maybe it's starting a business. Whatever those like things are. Maybe it's retiring your parents. I don't know, but like just coming out of that debt, you won automatically like your credit score is going to go up at some point. So just if you don't even have any additional debt or credit, like just the fact that you've paid it off and you've been paying it off all this time, like it's going to increase. And so with an increased credit score, it allows for you to do a lot more things that you probably haven't been able to do. I do advise that if you are going to get another credit card, obviously, like just be more responsible. Now that you've gone through this journey, like you know what it takes to maintain credit, and just looking at the relationship of money in a different way. Um, but Man, freedom, it means that I can breathe. Like I don't have to worry about paying somebody monthly on a whole bunch of debt. Like I can use that money now and put it towards something else that can uh, really help me invest my money in other ways and grow it in other ways. So
Well, Edidiong, such a pleasure to talk to you. Love the smiley face on your shirt. Love the smile on your face when you talk about what being debt-free means to you. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us today, and best of luck in your studies.
thank you.
This guest is a real MMI client whose success is the result of hard work and dedication. While MMI cannot guarantee results, taking early action can increase available options and improve long-term outcomes. Thanks for listening to this episode of Long Story Short, brought to you by Money Management International. To learn more about how MMI helps people from all walks of life get unstuck and out of the vicious cycle of debt through personalized solutions that inspire hope, visit moneymanagement.org. This episode was produced by Edgewise.media. Script writing and production by Clara Jennings, editing by Brandon Ellis, and show hosting by me, Adam Walker.